my friends, to a podcast that's been described as
emotional
and
terrifying.
One guy even said it was
So awesome it will shock you to the core.
finally another podcast about Godzilla and all his giant monster friends.
This could be the end of civilization.
Yeah, probably. So join your hosts, KES and Slick.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You're listening to the podcast from Odo Island. Hey, welcome to the podcast from Odo Island. Follow us all across the internet at Odo Island Pod. I'm the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. With me as always, the heart and soul of the podcast from Odo Island, my lovable brother Slick.
I have no Owen Hart response to that, but that was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah.
Glad you got your Bret Hart impression down to wax now.
It's not even an impression.
It'll stand the test of time now forever.
There was a BTDO that did a Montreal spoof. It was quite enjoyable.
I see.
Brendan Cutler was Bret's wife.
Well, that's lovely.
Yeah.
No, this is lovely. It's Kong Christmas.
It is Kong Christmas.
Actually, we have a pretty loaded episode, but yes, it's Kong Christmas. Every Christmas we do a Kong movie. We'll be doing Son of Kong, as well as the 5th episode of Monarch. What a doozy of a doubleheader that is.
Yeah, and before we get into anything else, I just want to do a quick little housekeeping on our -1 episode.
And we have news. We have news too.
I know, but on the -1 side of things, I said that the GMK thing wasn't the last scene. It was, and that was bugging me.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we both saw -1 for a second time,
Right.
since our last recording. We didn't see it together though. We saw it separately. But
I go at times where there's nobody else at the theater, and it's phenomenal. I love it.
I thought I was also going at a time where nobody would be at the theater, and my showing ended up being basically sold out.
Oh wow.
I went at like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, that's
And
when I went.
So it's kind of interesting because you went earlier in the week, and then I went on Saturday.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah,
Everyone's got Saturdays off.
but also
I went when everyone's working.
Also, like, I guess that kind of segues into at least the -1 news that as of this recording, -1 has now surpassed like $50 million worldwide. And from the weekend to weekend drop, it was only 27%, which I guess is like extremely, I'm not super up in these things, but I guess that's extremely low for a movie and usually a good sign that it's going to have legs and kind of keep making money for what's expected for it for quite a while. And so now I think the US show times, I understand, are now just ongoing indefinitely.
Oh, nice.
So probably, hopefully it'll get to Christmas, hopefully. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. Just a sidebar on that. Like, I was driving around the other night listening to sports radio, and even they were praising it. They were like, "Oh, this is the best movie." I was so surprised. Like, it's better than the Monsterverse. Like, the characters are so great. The movie itself is great. And I was just like, yeah, even like normal people who aren't like into it are just like raving about this.
So my wife texted me the other day and she said, "Oh, somebody that I work with is wondering if the movie's going to be out at Christmas because they just heard good things about it and they would like to, go see it when their kid comes home from college." And like, these are like, again, these are people who have no connection, interest, whatever, in seeing Godzilla movies or monster movies or whatever. And actually, like, when I went to see it the second time, my wife came with me, and she gives no shits about Godzilla movies. And, like, I don't ever, like, make her, like, watch them or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like, when Shin Godzilla came out, she came
with us, yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, it's like, you might like it. It's, like, a little bit, she doesn't really care for action movies. She doesn't really care for sci-fi movies. She enjoys the finer things, like Wayne's World movies. And most of the National Lampoon movies. That's her kind of area. And so I said, I think you'll probably like this one. I said, I don't know if you love it, but I said, like, it's like a very good story, like, overall. And fortunately, she doesn't listen to this podcast, so I don't care if I don't think she'll mind if I share this, but she was like actually like misty-eyed at like the end of the movie, and
it's a little bit of a tearjerker.
And as we walked out, I said, so what were your thoughts? And she was like, oh my god, she's like, I actually loved it. She goes, I figured it'd be good, but she goes, I was really way more into it than I expected. And and she even said like, well, like the Godzilla scene, she was like, she goes, it was like action with a purpose, and so it's like, like I said, she doesn't really like action-y movies and stuff like that. And like she was, like it all had meaning, and she thought Godzilla was terrifying. She appreciated that it wasn't just men that were the main characters, which is nice. Like that was like a nice that it was a nice men and women made up the main characters, which, I can see. I think we're getting better at that in blockbuster movies, but I think there's still a ways to go.
And shows.
What's that?
In shows.
In shows, yeah. It's getting better. It's improving. But still a ways to go. So anyway, she like really, really liked it. I kind of feel like I liked it even more my second time around.
I'm the same way. I'm putting it ahead of Shin Godzilla in my top 3.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know where I'm going to rank it yet because I want to get away from like the recency bias. But like I do find when I see something, and then like when I'm away from it, and when I find myself like reflecting on it like randomly, like then I know I've seen something that I really like a lot, and that's kind of where I'm at with this like right now. So yeah, this is definitely gonna land in a very, very high spot for me. So.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just going with my gut, and I'm like I like them both, but this one I'm just kind of like blown away by.
Yeah. This is something real special, pal. And so is Shin Godzilla. Shin Godzilla was too.
Oh,
I think
sure.
I think there is at its core the much more human, like personal story. I think probably sets this over Shin because Shin.
That's where it's working for me.
Because Shin was like, it was people doing their job and reacting to like their job,
and it's still awesome.
Yeah. It's like, but there's a little bit more meat. I kind of feel like with like the trauma and the. Yeah. I mean, whatever. That's we just. That was our last episode. We talked about that a lot. So
sure. Before we move on, though, we got a little bit of a trailer.
We did get a trailer.
And it's not a little bit. It's about 3 minutes long.
It is. We got that Godzilla and Kong New Empire trailer.
And it couldn't be any different than if they were cartoons.
Than my, like how back in the day there was like the serious Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon, and then there was like also the simultaneous Saturday morning Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon.
Right.
I guess this is a little bit more extreme. But yeah, that's the wonder of Godzilla. You can get two or three very different Godzillas all at the same time, is what this era has shown us.
So you have like -1, which is like pretty much like 54 Godzilla's like a indestructible force of nature. And then you have Godzilla X Kong, which is like Showa era team up fucking monster brawls.
Yeah.
And they're both like the trailer looks awesome. I'm so pumped for it.
Yeah. I was actually kind of surprised how like one thing I was a little disappointed with the trailers that I feel like it didn't really convey to me why Scar King is in fact so deadly of an enemy, like that Godzilla and Kong have to team up. But I guess at the same time too, I guess I don't really want to give away that much of the movie. But
it really didn't. So it showed a lot, but it didn't give anything away really.
Yeah.
Other than Godzilla is Bret Hart now.
I know the MonsterVerse has gotten its own version of Godzilla 2000.
Yeah.
Which I think is I think it's ridiculous and I think it's awesome. I'm all for this wild, wacky new MonsterVerse design.
Yeah. I think it looks awesome.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know how I feel about it. The only thing about the design is like now it looks better in the trailers than it has in the toy leaks. Like that he did get like, abs all of a sudden. He did like a giant severe ab crunch and got really lean. Like that's like a little extreme. But it looked in the trailer, it looked a lot better in the trailer than it has looked in the toy leaks. I guess they're not even leaks anymore. I feel like they've kind of I think well, not Playmates, but I think Jada Toys. Have you seen the remote control evolved Godzilla figure? Oh my god, that's a day one purchase for me. It doesn't look like a super expensive toy. It probably looks like it should be like a $30 to $40 toy. Like there's like similar like Bowser toys like out in the market now that do the same thing. They walk and like you pour water at them and he sprays mist and stuff like that. And this looks like it's going to kind of be to me it looks like it should be in that same sort of price bracket.
Okay.
When that's like a $20, $30 toy. So that's a day one purchase for me, dog. I can't wait to have a little remote controlled evolved Godzilla just running around.
I did see that. That looks cool. I also saw some other toys coming out. I won't say what they are, though, because they are spoilers. And
Yes.
I want to take the same approach we took for Godzilla vs. Kong. And you can get that info anywhere else.
Yeah, definitely. That's, yeah. There's actually even more leaks earlier today. But I
didn't see those.
I didn't share them in our group chat. And it's believed that they're probably filming an early test screening.
Yeah.
And I think there's been a lot of changes from the test screening to where we're at anyway, so I don't even think it's really even worth.
But
putting in general, I don't want spoilers, really. I don't want leaks.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying, like, we're not gonna go that road.
Yeah.
But like, it's out there. You can literally click on anything and you'll find it.
Yeah. Go to Reddit, you'll find it in 5 seconds. Go to Twitter, whatever, you'll find it in 5 seconds. So, but yeah, any other thoughts in the trailer? I thought it looks fun.
Kong has an infinity gauntlet.
Yep.
Most likely to repair his arm from a previous fight.
Yep.
Where I'm guessing he does not win.
Or he's getting the Infinity Stones, one or the other.
Yeah, either or. But I just think this, people call it a big dumb brawl, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know if it's dumb. I mean, like, that's how people are going to describe it. Because it looks like it's drawing a lot from Showa. You have the Seatopia dynasty down in the depths, and I'm like, this is cool, like, just random, like, weird shit. Just like, I don't want to call it dumb. I want to call it weird, because that's what it is.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So it's just weird stuff that's going on, and I dig it.
Yeah.
Like, Godzilla's pink and blowing pink atomic breath.
Yeah.
They're fighting a giant orangutan with a Godzilla tail whip. like Kong has a big metal thing on his arm. Like, it's gonna be wacky.
And he's got a kid.
And he's got a kid. Yep. There's
or maybe it's not his kid. Looks like he's being at least the de facto guardian or father figure for this kid. So.
Yeah, it looks like maybe he's an offshoot from the Scar King.
Yeah, because he's got he's got that orangey kind of fur.
And he's just got longer arms.
Although I did like how in the trailer where it's like when the kid gets revealed, he's like at that big ominous silhouette. And I was
he's
like,
the shadow in the wall of a cave, just like Tommy Tallarica.
Well, I was more thinking, I was like, oh god, it's like from the prequels with Anakin when he's like a little kid and his silhouette cast like the Darth Vader silhouette. I was like, oh god, is it foreshadowing that like this kid's gonna grow up to be like the big bad of the future MonsterVerse?
I hope so.
That'd be awesome.
But yeah, this trailer is a big wacky trailer. Check it out. It's got like 20 million views.
Yeah,
I think most of the people are pretty excited for it. There's the group of people who just can't be happy.
Yeah, I'm gonna just say this now, and I think it would also probably apply to some reactions to some aspects of the Monarch episode that we're going to talk about. That I don't like. I'm all for fair discussion, honest criticism, critical discussion, and stuff like that.
We're gonna have one.
And oh yeah, for sure. I give no attention and give no shits about what goons on Twitter have to say about certain aspects of the Monarch episode that came out this week, or the trailer, to be nasty for the sake of being nasty. I got no time to entertain that. So, yeah, I guess I'll just say it really quick. If you got a problem with a same-sex relationship in 2023, I got no time to entertain your fucking criticisms. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Because there was a little bit too much of that on the internet, but I mean, it's the fucking internet. That's just what happens.
Yeah, I like to always just give it back to him a little bit.
Yeah, I don't. I ignore it, but
Mike Tyson used to hit right in the kidneys and then give you an uppercut, and I like to sort of do that with my words. But anyway, Kong Christmas.
Yes, Son of Kong.
Of Kong.
I feel like this happens a lot. Sometimes when we do a movie without even planning it, we end up covering a movie really close to its actual release date.
I know.
And this was, I think it was December 22nd, 1933. So this is 90 years.
It's happened over a dozen times, and we're on 114th episode. So we just luck our way into this.
Yeah. There's actually a bit of a table to be set here.
I know.
So
I actually know a little bit more about this than I thought I did, but you can go ahead.
Sure. So obviously, the original King Kong movie was a success.
Mm-hmm.
This was rushed into production by RKO. It came out a whopping 9 months later.
Which explains a lot.
Yeah. Well, there's some other things that maybe you don't know that will explain a lot, or maybe you do. I don't know. So Ruth Rose wrote the script, and she was part of the team that was working on this, and she kind of famously has said about this movie, she's like, knowing that like they don't have a lot of time, so you got to kind of put something together quick. She kind of famously said, if you can't make it bit bigger, at least make it funnier. So she tried to I think the plan was to kind of go, okay, to kind of make up for the fact that we don't really have the budget or the time. They tried to make it a little bit more lighthearted in tone. It had a half the budget of King Kong at $269,000. It did make $1.3 million, which was still, successful, but like well short of what King Kong did.
Yeah.
There was talk prior to the release of maybe another sequel story, that plan was abandoned. So Willis O'Brien doing the effects work. Do you know much about this?
No.
Okay.
I know that they were like very constrained on time, so that's why it doesn't have the preciseness, or there's not as much of it as there was in the previous one.
There's that. So right around the beginning of production, Willis O'Brien's ex-wife killed their children and then tried to kill herself and failed. And that, as you can imagine, sent Willis O'Brien quite into a deep, dark place. And so he basically almost never showed up to work on Son of Kong, understandably, because that's awful.
Yeah.
So his effects assistant, Buzz Gibson, handled most of the effects work. And even going into the production, Willis O'Brien thought the story was like a little cheesy. But he was like so absentee from the whole thing. Like he asked to have his name removed from the production. That did not happen. So it was all handled by an effects assistant, and most of the props were reused from King Kong. Some were actually used in test footage that never made it to King Kong. There was plans to use props from the movie Creation, which would have, I think that was from 1931, I think, which was like one of Willis O'Brien's like earlier stop motion works. Like there was going to be like inhabitants of the island were supposed to like kind of have like a war and stuff like that. There's supposed to be like a dinosaur stampede, but obviously none of that happened. Yeah. So Kong's son is just named Son of Kong. However, in production, he was known as Kiko. That name is not used in the film, but I think I like the name Kiko. I guess I'll stay with that. And you didn't get too much of a returning cast. You got the skipper, you got Denham. Robert Armstrong, who plays Denham, he always kind of preferred this film, he said, because he got to act a little bit more. He felt in this movie. So, excuse me. But I didn't really know about that Willis O'Brien part.
Neither did I know.
And I found that from like one source, and then I like kind of went through a few other sources to confirm that story, and I was like, oh, that's like terrible. But yeah, so that's the background to Son of Kong. I think the whole production took 6 months.
Yeah.
Which I know movies were made much faster back then, but holy shit, that's fast.
Well, there's not too much action in it until the end of the movie. Basically, most of the movie is like you get a little bit on New York, and then you get a lot on like a port.
Yeah.
Like that's sort of like the bulk of the movie is at this port, and then you get the island, which is like the last like
28 minutes.
Okay.
So the movie is 69 minutes long. There you go.
Yeah.
Didn't even mean to set you up for that. And so I think in the original King Kong movie, Kong shows up 42 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
Kiko shows up in this movie 42 minutes into the movie.
Yep.
1933 Kong, though, goes on for about 45 more minutes.
Yeah.
This one goes on for about 25.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So have you seen this before? Or was
No,
this your first time?
My first time seeing it. I thought I did, but I think I'm thinking of I might be thinking of Mighty Joe Young.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen this a handful of times. I think it's wouldn't say it's obscure, but it's definitely, I think, kind of overlooked
Definitely-
very much in the
definitely
Kong lore,
overlooked, yeah.
because, I mean, it
Yeah.
is what it is. It's a quickly made cash grab.
Yeah.
But is it good or is it not good? Your thoughts?
I wouldn't say it's not good.
Yeah.
It's more of like a Carl Denham sort of like a, what's the word I'm looking for? A redemption story for him. So it starts off like he's sort of like hiding out in this lady's apartment, and like everyone's trying to sue him. He's getting served left and right.
Yeah.
Like he's taking the blame for everything. So he's just sort of like miserable and stuck alone in this apartment, and like people are trying to get in to like interview him and everything. So he's just kind of miserable and looking for a way out, and he eventually gets it. So he hops on this boat and he goes to this port, and just to sort of like get away from everybody. And he meets up with a captain from the previous movie. He's like, "Oh, you got the map? How's everything going? You want to split it 50?" He's like,
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Let's
you want
split it."
half of
He's
everything?
like, "What do I get?" He's like, "Well, I got 118 lawsuits."
Yeah. I do like that we get that that it's a very good continuation of the 33 story in that
Yeah.
sense.
The other guy's like drunk and undone his luck too. So he's just like, "I'll just drink."
Then like they come across like the captain who apparently gave Denham the map in the original
That's
movie.
what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah. Right, I forgot. He kind of does that. Like, I'll split things with you joke with like
Yeah.
the two of them, with like the captain from the 33 movie, and then the guy who gave him the map.
Yeah.
Then like, so we don't have Anne Darrow anymore. So she's replaced by this character Hilda, who is like kind of doing like a circus thing with like her father.
What's her name? Like,
Hilda.
no. It was like that was her name, but like her stage name was like Saint Helene.
Oh, I forget.
Yeah. he even makes a mention of it. He was, "We should go see the show. You don't want to miss Saint Helene."
And then like her father like plays cards like the asshole guy, and that ends in disaster when he gets bottled over the head, and then
Yep.
the whole place catches fire. But I do appreciate that Hilda said, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to let all the seals, randomly, it was random sea seals, and all the monkeys that they have in their skit, like, or their carnival, let them go first, free them, so like that they're not caught in the fire. But she's kind of over the death of her father like very fucking quickly.
Yeah.
Maybe
not a lot of closeness there.
I guess not. But then she like spends like the rest of the movie basically on the boat with like the dude that like pretty much openly confirms that he did kill her father. And she's like, "Nah, you jerk who killed my father." And like nobody seems to like care. Like everyone on the ship is just kind of like, yeah. Like, like that was a little strange to me. It didn't really seem like how human beings would react to that real situation. But,
Yeah.
But whatever. That whole part's now just a transition to get you to like back to Skull Island.
Yeah.
There's a little mutiny on the boat. They decide to throw Denham and Hilda and the original ship's captain over. Yeah, whatever. Then they get to the island. It's Kong's kids just like sitting there in quicksand.
It is kind of funny how they find Hilda on the boat, and they were really mad that she's there.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. She's like she's like down like in like the boxes or whatever, like in the below deck.
Yeah. So like Denham tries to give her money, just being like, "Take another ship, get to another port, and you don't want to be with me." And she's like very attracted to Denham, so she like sneaks in the boat, and then they find her, and they're like, "Oh, girl, no!"
Yeah. The whole like midpoint of this movie is very strange in the sense that like nobody acts like real people.
Yeah.
It's like it's just I don't know, just like people being weird till they get to Skull Island. Then they get to Skull Island, and at least like the spectacle kind of takes over
Yep.
a little bit. So I guess as we go into the third half of the movie, I guess I'll reset and say, thought the first half, or first third, I should say, kind of entertaining. I like Denham in New York. I like Denham when I thought
He wears a little bucket on his head to get out of there.
yeah, an overall stuck over his suit. I think kind of when they're in the port town, it's entertaining.
Yeah. Whatever.
It's a little not like Denham being like a little bit of like a sleazy promoter. But then once I get to the boat, I go like, oh, this is not good. This is not very entertaining.
Yeah, so the runtime, like you said, is hour 9 minutes. It does feel like it's a 2-hour movie when you get to the middle.
Yeah. So now they get to the island.
This is where the fun begins.
Yeah. Kiko is in quicksand. They help him get out. He seems like an adorable little chap.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
Yeah. I think the highlight of the movie
just like Nick Wayne, he's a good boy.
I think the highlight of the movie, I think, is the bear fight that happens shortly after they get there. To me, that was my highlight.
The bear fight and the Triceratops chasing the 3 guys into the crack in the wall.
Oh yeah.
I really liked how they did like the Triceratops like kind of going after them. The shot where you can see them in the cave where the Triceratops, just his head is trying to like get them, but he can't get to them. And like the drunken captain guy from the previous movie is like trying to like push the Chinese cook into him. Just to save
by the
himself.
way, I don't think the drunken guy. I don't think he was actually in 33. He's just referenced in 33.
Okay,
yeah. So it's like the skipper of the 33 ship. He returns. The drunken guy is only referenced, I think, in the 33 movie, off the top of my head.
But anyway, he's like cowering and trying to like push him into the Triceratops to save himself, and he's got the only weapon they have because the other guy's shotgun is broken by the Triceratops.
Yep.
So it's just like, what are you doing?
A lot of stop motion creatures breaking guns.
Yeah.
In this because Kiko breaks Denham's gun. Yeah.
He's like, well, now you done it.
I know, he's like kind of like oddly like.
He says a lot of words to Kong, thinking he understands English.
Yeah, he's like. I don't know. I was like, shouldn't you be like more like amazed that like you found like another cog? Like he seems almost like kind of like put off by it that he's like found like second of cog species.
When Kong shakes the tree and gets the coconut down, he's like, "Hey, watch what you're doing."
Yeah, and like they bandage him up and stuff like that, and goes, "Oh, I guess we're even now." And I was like, "No,
nope."
He's like, "I guess." So I'm bandaging your finger, but he literally goes like, yeah, he goes, it was me who knocked out your dad and took him to New York, and then he got shot, and then he died. But I guess I'm bandaging your finger now, so I guess we're even. And I was like, you better hope he doesn't actually understand you, because if I heard that, I'd be like, yo, what? He's like, I just thought you were like...
But Kong definitely takes a liking to them. Like, he's not, like, fixated on Hilda the way he was, his dad was fixated on Anne. But it's like more of like a friendship, like a companionship, like he's their pet, basically.
Yeah. Makes it very likable.
When the bear comes, that's a good stop motion fight. Because it's like a wrestling match almost. Like they're trying to grab a hold the whole time.
Yeah, it is true. Like they put each other like headlocks and like head scissors and stuff. And then I like it when Kiko gets the advantage. She just starts like pounding on the bear's head. And I was like, all right.
And then like the bear's starting to wake back up again. He just goes back at it a little bit.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is pretty entertaining. There's also the cave.
Oh yeah.
They get to the cave.
Yeah.
They knock down Kiko knocks down the barrier so they get in, and Denham's like, oh look, it's the treasure of the island. We're at. And he goes in there and so they get the treasure thing. Well, Kong gets it for him, he hands it to him, and then like the rest of them meet up because he fired the last gunshot he could before Kong breaks the gun. And they meet up and they're like, oh look, we're rich. And then like the drunken guy's just like, or the captain guy's just like, all right, I'm gonna go get to the boat and just fuck off from you guys now.
And he proceeds to get killed by a rough looking brontosaurus dragony type.
Yeah.
It's got like weird light up eyes going on with like no pupils and stuff.
I'm not too big on the dinosaurs. I used to be back when I was a kid, so I forget the name of the thing that it like looks like, but it looks like there's like a water based dinosaur that it kind of reminds me of.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all the names of dinosaurs that we knew as kids have probably like been changed now.
Oh yeah,
years, but
I'm just saying, like, I don't know the name of the thing that it looks like, but it does look almost like a Ghidorah like water based brontosaurus.
Yeah, there's a brontosaurus fight in the cave too, which is okay. It's not as good as the bear fight.
Yeah, it's a little shorter.
Yeah, but Kiko again goes right back to work in the head.
Yep.
Yeah, closed fist right to the head.
And so let's describe how Kong Jr. looks. So he's not as big as regular Kong, about half the size.
He's like 12 feet. He's an albino ape.
Yeah, so he's a lot better visually, I think, than like the regular Kong, because you could actually like see him and everything like that. closer to the human size too, so he's easy like to make friends with them.
Yeah.
He doesn't just like go
Yeah.
after them and eat
I
them.
actually really like his look. I
Yeah.
think he's I think kind of like I was like oh, it's George from Rampage.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
But
George, no.
so I don't know. I like his look. I think they did reuse some models from King Kong. I don't know like how. I don't know. I know they used reused parts for like his like arm and stuff like that. I don't know if I don't know if this is like a reworked 33 model or if this is like a new model. I don't know. I don't know that for sure.
New.
Yeah, it was a little hard for me to. I was trying to figure that out online. Now, granted, I didn't spend a ton of time, but I didn't find like an answer that at least I felt confident in enough to say one way or the other here. So, but I thought I thought he looks really cool. He looks very friendly.
Yeah.
Whether Willis O'Brien did it or that guy Buzz did the stop motion, I don't think it's definitely not as smooth as 33.
Because I mean, like the original one, that was like an absolute feat of cinema.
Oh yeah.
And this one, like I said, they didn't have nearly as much time to do it or the budget, so they did with it the best they could. It doesn't look bad either.
No, it's just like 33. It's so smooth, and like this is like. Yeah, you can tell like they probably just didn't record as many frames, and it's like a little jerkier.
And there's just not as much.
Yeah, that's the big thing too. But I think for when you kind of put in perspective what they had to work with, like I think it's still pretty impressive. And actually, it's outside of like Ray Harryhausen. I think it's still more impressive than most any other stop motion I've seen in a lot of movies. Outside of Harryhausen. So, it's not bad.
No, it's totally not bad.
Yeah.
And then there's the grand finale.
Yep, the earthquake that just happens.
Just perfect timing, earthquake, island sinks. It's Caspiar. It's sunk.
Kiko gets trapped, holds up Denim so he can get saved, then he presumably drowns. And I was like, that's kind of sad.
You don't see him drown, though. You don't see him.
That's true, but he was never brought back. Literally has never been brought back. I think like I saw this like when I was probably like a real like young, or I'm not like super young, but like probably like in like my teens or something. And I think in my memory, I just always assumed that when they pulled out the jewel, that caused the earthquake. Because that was like how I kind of imprinted it in my memory, is that like it was like, oh yeah, like they took because I don't know,
revenge.
They used to be like it used to be like a trope, right? Like oh, we stole like the jewel and now like whatever, the island's gonna sink or something like that. But no, it's just an earthquake that just happens
a little while later. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well that's a little like it's like in Toho movies, like when they do like a few movies in a row where it's like the kaiju that they're fighting like fall into the ocean or get sucked under the ocean by like a volcano or an earthquake or some shit like that. Such like a I feel like they just like didn't know what to do for an ending and they're just like earthquake.
Yeah, it like the last couple scenes with Kiko holding up Denim though are pretty powerful. Like he's trying to save his friend even though he can't be saved.
Yeah, I think Kiko is very endearing in this movie. And I think the only other real significant bright spot in this movie is like I think Denim. I mean, Denim's like I don't think Denim's like that good of a guy, but I think like
it's a redemption thing.
Yeah, but I like the acting with Denim. Like I think he like kind of plays kind of gray area sleazy promoter guy who's like trying to be a little bit better. And I think those are kind of like the two main draws to this movie for me. I think the rest is kind of shit.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not shit, but like...
I think the whole port stuff, I'm just kind of like, eh.
It is what it is. It's a cash grab movie. And it feels like it. It's just, and it's like, I don't think anyone in the movie had like any real passion for it. It's not like...
Yes and no. Like, yeah, it was made for money reasons, but also... Like, I do think there was a little bit to the Denim redemption story where it's not like a heartwarming, like, tale of redemption, but it's still just, like, trying to make it so he's not so much of a dick. Whereas in, like, the 70s movie, it's like, no, this guy's a peckerhead.
yeah. Well, I guess I'll restate it. Like, I don't think anyone went into the project going like, "Hey, we feel really passionate about this." I think they were like, RKO's like, "All right, you got to write a script, you got to do this, you got to film that, you got to get up by this date," and everyone's like, "Okay, let's do the best we can with what we got." You know, I think everyone just tried to do a good job with what they had to do, but I don't think anyone was like, "Oh, this is like the story I've been dying to tell."
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean? Like,
totally. I think the first one was the story they were dying.
Yeah,
to tell.
exactly. So we didn't really get into like to the director, whose name I kind of forget, but like it wasn't like Marion Cooper who did like the last movie. It was even though he like was like, "Oh, we should make like a sequel and kind of cash in this." The director, whose name is escaping me at the moment because I forgot to write it down, like he was known for like filming movies for RKO like very, very efficiently and very quickly, and I think he was actually filming another movie during the day, then was doing like this at night. But because I think he's the director who also did The Most Dangerous Game, which is a bit of a classic movie. I have to look this up now because I feel bad that I forgot to do that.
See, like when you forget stuff and it sits on you, like you can't just like get it out. That's why I had to get out the -1.
Yeah.
In the episode.
Yeah, directed by Ernest B. Shostak. Yeah. Oh, he did work in the original King Kong, and I was right. He did do The Most Dangerous Game. But anyway, yeah, that's Son of Kong. Anything else to say about the movie before we start rating this thing?
Not really. It's a shorter movie, so you're not investing that much
It's a shorter
time.
review.
Yeah.
For shorter discussion.
But at the same time, I do think it's worth a watch just so you can get a continuation of the Kong story. But that being said, like temper your expectations on this one.
Yeah. I think like we've watched like a lot of movies that like are kind of like these like kind of B movies that maybe have some good spectacle, but they don't really have much like in the way of like good acting like around the monster stuff. Whereas I think this has, at least from Denim, I think this kind of has good acting.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think I'm leaning towards, I think this is a 3-star for me, because I think it's like it's not bad. You know, there's enough good parts that make it like not bad.
Yeah. Totally.
You know, once you get to the island, like, yeah, it's only like 28 minutes once they're on the island, but like most of that 28 minutes is pretty good.
Yep.
You know?
I agree.
And I definitely really enjoyed the Kiko versus the bear fight, and then like the little bit of the shorter fight you get later with like the Brontosaurus dragon thing. And I think Denim is good enough to kind of carry an otherwise mediocre movie, but that like second act though is brutal.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say brutal, but it's just not that good.
Yeah. Total. No, I agree with you. I'm going to go back to the early days of this podcast and rate it lower than you. I'm going to give it a 2.
Oh, okay.
And I said, it's not bad, but it's not good. Temper your expectations if you watch this. But definitely watch it because it's a little piece of movie history. And there, for all its faults, there is good stuff there. Like you said, with the fight with the bear, the Triceratops, the stop motion with the sea dragon thing, even the island sinking. There's stuff there that looks good.
Yeah.
It's a little sad to watch the Son of Kong disappear under the water, but
yeah,
he dies, quote unquote, dies a hero. So, and then they make off with all the money from the treasure.
Yep. To a third movie that never happened.
Yep. So I'm going to give it a 2. Nothing great, but still worth a watch.
Yeah. Interesting little piece of Kong history.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, on to Monarch.
Down, there's no easy way out.
Why did you do that? Because it's called The Way Out,
Yeah.
Episode 5 of Monarch Legacy of Monsters. Huh.
That was a big inhale.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little conflicted on how I feel about this episode.
Me too, but I actually know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start off with some positives. I thought the character work was really good. Kurt Russell in the interrogation room with the director, I thought was the highlight of the episode for me. I was like, man, Kurt Russell's so good in this. Like, what happened if Godzilla didn't win? Like, what do you got then? He's like sort of chipping away at Monarch.
I like how he made fun of what was their plan? They had all this year to play. What do they do? Let them fight? That's their plan?
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, whew.
Exactly. He had some shit to say. And I just thought that was sort of the strongest part of the episode. They start off, they're all in like different cells. And so like Monarch's trying to get at them from different angles. But they know they can't get at Kurt Russell. So they're just sort of like asking him why he was doing what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And like they don't get a straight answer from him, but they do get like, you guys are fucking idiots and you don't know what you're doing and you're screwing this up.
Yeah.
They go after Maye from a different angle. They find out about her past, and so they appeal to her longing for home. Her longing to get away from what's been going on with the group.
She should want to get away from them.
Exactly. So they're making an appeal to that. And then the rest of them, they're like, kind of like just been like, here you go, his tickets home. Just, no harm, no foul, but get out now.
So Maye meets Cate, let's say about like a week prior to this, right? That's probably no more than 2 weeks of like real time has probably passed on the show at this point. And so she gets wrapped up into her ex's like super crazy family drama. Nearly gets killed like a million times, either by getting like attacked by Titans, hypothermia. She's like basically taken into custody by this like shadow government, quasi-government agency. Like, I would want to be out of there as fast as I could. I'd be like, y'all, I am done with this shit.
And maybe she gets there a little bit later. But like they're all Monarch's just trying to get at them from different angles to sort of like accomplish their goals, which is like keep things under wraps so they know what to do and nobody else really knows what to do. And so they're in Alaska still, but they get to the airport and they're going to fly back to Tokyo, but instead they fly to San Francisco. And so Cate starts having these flashbacks
to G-Day -1.
Yeah. And you find
awesome
out
that they did that.
You find out that she's in a same-sex relationship with another woman, and that's good. Let's attract LGBTQ plus fans to the fandom and expand,
and just making it a normal part of TV shows.
I mean, like you think of like the amount of characters in this, it's like statistically speaking, they should be gay people.
And also it should just be a normal part of a TV show.
Yeah, and it is. So and they kind of expand on her character too. They sort of draw parallels between her and her dad, where she's a little bit promiscuous.
Yeah,
it's not the same thing, but there's parallels.
Yeah, because she has like a part later where she's like, "Oh, I'm no better than my dad." And it's like, now at this point, like we don't know a lot about this relationship yet, right? But it clearly seems like this is actually a part of the episode that I liked a lot when they were kind of laying this groundwork with like this like relationship that she has, because like I think the woman's name is Dani, that's her partner, and she. Like, she's like asking her to move in and stuff like that. And like Kate's very hesitant, and she kind of like alludes to something that either might have to do with their relationship or some other relationship that Dani was coming out of. And, and then like we see later that like, she's like sleeping with somebody else, like on the side. But like, I don't feel like you really know how stable. We don't know how stable yet. Like that relationship is. Like, is it a rocky relationship? Like,
well, they're trying to move in together, so I mean, there should be some.
But there's also like a lot of hesitancy there, and I think which tells me is like, okay, like this is a relationship.
She still said yeah.
She did, but it's like it doesn't feel like.
Well, they're not married, or it's not like explicitly monogamous, but at the same time, there's some two-timing going on.
There is, but I still think it's not the same. I think dating is very, very fucking complicated, and I think like relationships are very fucking complicated. But your dating drama is not the fucking same as your father having two completely hidden families.
That's what I'm saying. It's not the same exact thing, but there's similarities.
Yeah,
there's parallels.
I guess I think, but either way, I think that makes her like a more. It added Like, you don't.
It makes her human.
Yeah, she's flawed. She's got some flaws. That was good. I said, good. That's a great like layer to add to her. Like, yeah, we all probably know like a million people who have been in, weird, sticky relationships and stuff like that, and to different levels. And I was like, yeah, it's like, this is like a person dealing with like drama that like a lot of people probably have to deal with. And so I thought that was positive. So I think most of that character stuff, positive.
Yeah.
I think you covered my other positives. I'm trying to think if I have any others before. We probably also get into our shared negatives.
Oh boy. Because I actually like, even though there's no monster stuff in this episode, I actually was liking the episode up until they get into the city, which we
did get the same Godzilla flashback we've seen like 3 times already.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you didn't get like any like new stuff or whatever.
No.
So the way they get into the city is you meet Kate's mom, who's kind of quasi dating this like
hippie guy.
Yeah, this dude who looks like he could have been straight out of like the IT crowd.
Yeah. Also, I do hate that I said a couple episodes ago, I said I want Kate's mom to be nothing but just like a voice in the phone that she constantly hangs up on, and that this episode killed that for me. So that's too bad.
Sorry.
I thought it was going to be a great running gag.
She could have been like the voices in her head, like Rick in The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
But no. So you meet Kate's mom, and she finds out that her husband had a secret family in Japan, and she's sort of like coming to terms with that pretty quickly. And she's trying to be nice to everybody, but like at the same time, Kate's like, "Why aren't you mad?" and she's just like, "I don't know. I liked having a part-time husband. That means you had a part-time dad, and that's not fair."
Yeah. Yeah. Holy shit.
So there's like,
she says at one point, she goes, "I could have asked him at any point if he was cheating," and I'm like, "Well, why didn't you? For the sake of your kid."
And it just it's complicated, and it worked for her, so she just let it happen. And you don't really know whose family was first. They've kind of like gone out of their way to like make sure you don't really know. You kind of feel like Kate's older than Kentaro.
Yeah.
But you don't know for sure.
Right.
And so like it could be like a simultaneous thing.
Yeah.
But either way, Kate's mom works for FEMA, and so she brings her into the city, and they're just like explaining the rules. Like, if you get caught, you're gonna be like considered like a looter. So like
possibly shot. Yeah.
So she's like warning her about this stuff. And meanwhile, Kate's still having these like G-Day flashbacks because she's going through all these areas where she was on the last day, as like the Godzilla stuff was going down.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, she's having all these flashbacks, and she's kind of dealing with her trauma. And then, what happens?
Trying to think which part comes first.
So they're getting tracked by these army dudes, and like they get like pinned down behind a car, and then the Kentaro like blames it on the cat. So the army dudes are just like, let's shoot the cats. Blah blah blah.
Well, I appreciate though the cats saved the day, and then the cats also like lead them through the tunnel that takes them to. Okay, I'm trying to remember which part. There's 2 really dumb things that happen back to back, and I just forget which order they occur in.
So what happens first is they're walking, and then Kentaro and Cate, by the way, is still having these weird flashbacks and dealing with her trauma, and she's like crying, and then like they're talking in Japanese and like singing and being happy and being very loud. Yeah. Like right after they were just like being tracked by these army dudes.
Yes.
And I was just sitting there screaming, like in my head, just going like, "Why are you doing this? Why are you behaving this way? This doesn't, like, you wouldn't do this. Why?"
In our group chat, you compared it to like season 8 Game of Thrones, and I think the only thing that saves this from being that bad is that Maye calls them out for like being that dumb, whereas nobody would do that in season 8 of Game of Thrones.
Right. So the comparison for that is in season 8 of Game of Thrones, like Tyrion's like the smartest character in the show. And then all of a sudden he's like, "Yes, let's hide in the crypts where the Night King's coming and he can raise the dead." That's very smart. So he becomes like an idiot. And like Daenerys is an idiot too. Like she forgets about the
Danny just forgot about the Iron
Fleet. And also, I don't know if did she forget about them, but she's way up high riding on a dragon, and she can't see them way down below. Like she has the view of fucking everything around her, and she can't see them.
You ever see that? I say, don't blame Danny. Blame yourself and your shitty writing.
Yeah. So it got really like stupid, and that's where this episode kind of took a turn and got really stupid.
Yeah.
Because like Maye's just sitting there like trying to calm down Cate and being a good friend. And then she's like looking at them being like happy and smiley and singing and making lots of noise in an area where they have to be like stealthy. And I'm just like, you fucking idiots, you blew it.
Yeah.
And Cate just kind of like gives up on them there, I think, mentally. And like they're hiding in a tunnel. Other people get like distracted, so they get away, and they eventually get to the tower where the office is.
Yeah.
And this is, I'll let you explain this one, because I was equally annoyed by this, because I was just kind of like, oh, they're doing Temple of Doom and everything just lines up perfectly.
Yeah, there's like the star map that's like, or not a star map, but like there's like this map with like points highlighted, like hanging on their father's office wall. First, they go, oh, okay, so he hid a safe behind a poster or a map or whatever in his office in Tokyo. So clearly there's going to be another office there. So they just rip it down. And it looks like they like basically like shred that poster off the wall. But don't worry, in the next scene, not only is it totally fine, it's also like perfectly square on the floor. So they go, oh shit, there's no safe back here. And then they're all just like, oh my god, like what do we do? What do we do? And then Kentaro talks about like this like perspective art project that he worked on, and then he takes a piece of paper and tries to line it up with some dots on the map, and he's like, just happens to look at the sun that just happens to be in the right place for the right amount of sunlight to come in at the right angle.
But the dots he puts on the map were from the tablet of the map.
Yes, I was about to say that too.
So it all lines up perfectly, and the odds of this are just fuck all.
Yeah, he has a picture of this thing on a tablet, and he's like, oh, this is clearly just perfect. Like, I was like, was this tablet even made when like your father like hung this up and first made this? And also like, why would that light up? That's so precise of a puzzle.
Yeah.
and also you just have the sun coming at like the perfect time, and then like everything's just lined up way too perfect. He holds this paper that he punched these holes in the window up to the wall, up to the window. It shines light on what are basically the path like their father's taking, and he's probably still alive. It's now turning into an episode of Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? And
which, by the way, before Kentaro tore that map down, there was probably tax on there that like showed those areas.
That's probably right, because I remember like a bunch of tax go flying on the ground too.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there I was like, you could have got here in not such a stupid way. Like there could have been a million different ways. Like you could have achieved the same result without doing something that's just so, like, I think even just including the tablet made it really stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's such like, I try to like not get like bent out of shape about like things like sometimes like things just kind of move the plot, like I'm trying to find my words here, but like just these two scenes back to back, I was like, this is stuff that's like, is just like, if people did this in real life, like if people like are in like a quarantine zone and then decide to start loudly singing show tunes, like that's really stupid. Just like I was saying, like in Son of Kong, that's not how human beings react to situations. That makes no fucking sense to do that. That's like the stuff that I will get like critical about, like when I'm watching something, when like people just stop acting like something close to real human beings. And then like when you have this like convoluted puzzle that like just gets like, doesn't really make sense, like how they got to the solution. Like that stuff I sit there and go like this was like has been to this point what I think is a pretty well written good show. I think there's been a little bit of filler lately, but still I thought it's like a pretty well written show where like everyone kind of feels like real people. The last like 30 minutes of this, I was like, what the shit is this? And like, now I hope that's just a one episode misstep.
Yeah.
But whew, that was no wonder like when they get to like the last scene, like May's like on the phone with like Tim and stuff.
Tim's the girl's with Tim. She's the one who got to May.
Oh yeah, that's right. Like, she's on the phone with him basically going like, yo, I think I'm ready to kind of get out of here. I was like, yeah, no shit, I'd be ready to get out of it.
I was like, I don't blame you.
I would have left them. I would have left them I would have even gone to Alaska. I would have been like, well, I guess she didn't really have a choice at that point. They were being hunted at that point. But
yeah.
But yeah, holy shit, that was dumb. And totally undermined what I thought otherwise was a very good character development episode.
That's how I felt about it too, because at the first, like I said, I was like the Kurt Russell stuff, the Cate stuff, I was like, oh, this is all good. And then it just sort of like sinks. Like you hit a crevasse and instead of like swimming back up, you just swam through the crevasse.
Yep.
Into the darkness.
Yeah. So, our recording schedule is a little out of whack this week, so we're not going to have the benefit of seeing episode 6, which will have aired by the time this episode drops. Supposedly, all the rumors say, and I feel like we can say this because, again, this episode is going to drop after episode 6 has come out. All the rumors say that episode 6 is supposed to be like a banger of an episode, and that actually most of the back end of the season is supposed to be very, very strong.
Well, you know what they say about rumors. They make a roux out of more and S.
Oh, hey-oh. That was a good assume joke. But
like I hope so, because they really need to go back to the 50s to get that story fleshed out. And as they've ignored
that's
it
something too. No flashbacks in this episode.
They've ignored it completely for 2 episodes now, and it's just too long for me. It feels a little bit like The Walking Dead, where like they leave people with like cliffhanger stories that you're kind of more interested in.
Yeah.
And they just kind of leave it alone for like a couple episodes, and you can kind of forget all about it, and it takes all the steam out. And then they go back to it and they do something kind of stupid. And so you just kind of say like, fuck this show.
Well, I think, I think when I put it in perspective in my own head, I go, all right, we've had 5 episodes. Granted, while the quality is kind of bounced a little bit, but overall very good. 4.5 episodes have been very good.
I think 3 episodes have been very solid, and then there's been 2 that have been okay.
Yeah.
Well, 1 was okay, and then there's 1 that was half okay, and then just kind of stunk.
Well, I guess what I'm getting overall, my opinion of the show has been very positive for 4.5 episodes, and I go, all right, but I put it in perspective like that. You had a really rough 30 minutes. But I have no reason to think that like you can't course correct because you have put out 4.5 really good episodes.
And if anyone's listening to this who's making a show that has like some pull, if by some act of God someone's listening to this that has any authority in show running, stop doing the thing where people get annoying to like do something stupid. Stop doing it. Just stop. Like stop creating fake conflicts between people when there's a bigger conflict of getting from A to B that you have to worry about. When you start like this shitty little like infighting, like, or like when people are behaving in ways that they shouldn't be behaving in situations that require stealth, don't do it. Just stop. Just stop it. Really sit back and think to yourself, like, would I behave this way?
Right.
Like really sit back and think about like what you're doing, because this like really took me out of it, and it just like made me like not like the show, basically.
Well, I did not like that 30 minutes, but I still really like the show.
like I'm kind of out on Cate and Kentaro right now. From the end of that episode, I'm just kind of like, I kind of hope you get squished.
Well, I'm into Cate. I'm into Kate's backstory. Kentaro, I think, has kind of been, I think he's basically kind of been the weakest character in the entire show in general. I'm just like never really compelled by anything he has to say or anything else.
I just hope the rest of the show is just the 54 crew or the 50s crew. I'm like, just give me that from the rest of the
or it's gotta be more balanced anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that was a rough 30 minutes. So what would you give it as a rating?
Oh, 1.
I'm gonna give it a 2 for the stuff that was good. I liked a lot.
Yeah, like I said, like the stuff that was good, that's why we started off with the positive stuff.
Yeah.
But I think the stuff that was bad just completely overshadows it and just kind of ruins it. Like for me, at least. So that's why I'm giving it a 1.
Yeah.
They could do better. Like I said, the first couple episodes, I gave it a 5. I was like, oh, I'm definitely into this.
Yeah.
And now I'm just kind of like, ugh. I'm kind of like dreading the next episode.
I think it's just, a bad 30 minutes does not throw a whole show out.
I know, but I'm just saying, like,
they can course correct on this week's episode, and this episode will be forgotten.
I will give them the chance.
Yeah,
I will say that.
Every show has like that misstep episode. I think this was the misstep episode, but I thought the Cate stuff, the backstory to Kate's personal life, I thought was really, really good. Made her much more interesting.
She's a 2-timing dog.
I'm sure it's very complicated. So,
Just let me have it.
so we're just giving our balance, our counterpoints.
We're
here
just
today.
normal men. We're just innocent men.
That's a pretty obscure reference, but so yeah, it's a 1 and a 2 from us.
You could do better. I have faith.
Yeah, there you go. That's a positive way to. It's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
Positive. Not Monarch Christmas.
Definitely not Monarch Christmas. Monarchmas. Chris Monarch. Figures. You got them. You can't unget them. Tell me about them.
I got a few. 2 figures and and one other item. Not the most exciting week for purchases, but some of the stuff that I have pre-ordered in the past has started to come in. That's kind of nice. So I got the Funko Pop for Godzilla Ultima, but the glow in the dark one. So now I have 3 singular point ones and the GVK ones. That's my entire Funko collection. I'm not a big Funko person, but I think these are kind of cool. The Ultima. This is the Ultima that he's firing his atomic breath.
Yep.
It's the glow in the dark one. However, I will say the glow in the dark gimmick not that strong.
Ah.
It's not like that. It's not one of those like ones that like glows bright green. It's like kind of like a blue glow in the dark thing, and just not as pronounced as like the green.
Do you put it under like a black light?
Yeah, I tried to like see if like that would like really charge it up a lot more, and it helped. But
Yeah.
but just not as prominent as others. But whatever, it's the same price as a regular Funko Pop, and it's a really cool sculpt.
Yeah.
So there is a non glow in the dark version of this. So I mean, it looks the same. So.
And you like the glow in the dark gimmick, so why not?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. So there was that. That was nice. A local comic shop around us was doing their annual 50% off sale. They don't traditionally have a lot of Godzilla stuff, but I did grab 2 things there. I got issue 1 of Godzilla War for Humanity. I'm not big in the comics, but the art for this particular comic is really cool. It's like almost kind of like a 60s style, like kind of weird pup poster art type thing. So I figured I would get at least the first issue. I would have bought more issues if they had the others, but I grabbed the first issue just mostly because the art's cool and kind of wanted to, just have it. So maybe I'll pick up the rest at some point, but I'm not the biggest, like, I always say you don't got to collect everything, and Godzilla comics are definitely, at least the modern ones, are just an area where
When did this come out?
just like a couple months ago.
Oh, okay.
It's like still an ongoing like miniseries, or it might have just wrapped. But yeah, I mean, IDW is putting out just so many different Godzilla comics. I basically just buy like the specialty ones. Like they did a few like ongoing runs that I had like most of the comics for, but it's just not a thing that I collect a ton of.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I'm much more like the Marvel comics from like the 70s. Like I have a complete run of that. And, like that's really cool because I don't know, it's just so crazy and zany. And I had like the Dark Horse comics like when they were coming out from like the 90s, and like those were cool. But yeah, just generally like it's just an area I just don't do a lot of collecting in. But like I haven't gotten any of the DC Godzilla Kong Justice League stuff. I haven't gotten any of that. Maybe when they do like a collected edition, maybe I'll grab that. But but when they did like the Power Rangers one, I was like, oh, I gotta get the collected edition for that. So but I'm kind of hypocritical because Half Century War, I've kind of said, is like one of the best Godzilla things ever made. So so there's that. But I guess my main event purchase is also at that same comic shop. I got the Godzilla 2000 X Plus Defo Reel.
Yeah.
So I'm becoming. I was saying this to you before we start recording. Is like I only got a handful of Defo Reels, but I am like, when they're good, they're like fucking incredible.
Yeah.
This Godzilla 2000 one looks awesome. I have like the Ultima one too. I think that's like one of like just the coolest pieces that I have.
Yep.
I used to not pay too much attention to the Defo Reels because like sometimes I think they'd be like a little too super deformed. It's like the head would just be like really, really oversized, and like, the body would be like a little small and on the goofier side. But like the proportions like on this Godzilla 2000 one are like not really like that. Like the head's like a little bigger than the rest of the body in terms of scale, but like it's not too drastic. So it's just X Plus is just does a fantastic job of painting their stuff and giving it extremely good detail. So I don't know, maybe I'm going to start getting into more of these.
So at first, when I first saw these things coming out, I was just kind of like completely out on them. I was like, I don't need these things. I don't like the big head and the little bodies. And then you got the Ultimate. And I was just like, I don't think I've ever been more wrong about anything.
Well,
things are awesome.
I think your take is right on like older Defo reels. I feel like because the Defo reel series has been around for like a long time.
But I feel like if I saw those earlier ones in person, I'd probably change my tune.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there's some I see like I see these in person a lot, and like some I just look at and go like, nah, I got no interest for that. But when they hit, they like really hit.
Yeah. The Ultimate one's awesome. That one's the 2000 one is awesome.
Yeah. I also have the Redosaurus from Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. That one's pretty good too.
You have the open mouth one.
I do have the open mouth one. Oh my god! When I went to buy that, I hemmed and hawed for so long about do I want the open mouth one or the closed mouth one, and then finally I just went with the open mouth one.
Yeah. Movie accurate.
Yeah. It's just I don't know. There's more action going on.
Yeah.
So those are my purchases, but I do have a little bit of an update. A little bit of an update, Ski.
Update.
Thank you. Thank you for catching that setup. So I said last episode, I talked a lot about the Super 7 Godzilla -1 Ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
I said if I had some sports bets that hit, I would pre-order it. I did not have enough sports bets that hit to pre-order it. I took a little bit of a beating on that front. But I just kept thinking about it and thinking about it.
Oh, you're
thinking about it. I pre-ordered it.
Yeah,
I pre-ordered it.
Sometimes it's one of those things, man. Like that's what happened with me with the ring. I kept on hemming and hawing, and then I was like, at some point, I was like, I am getting this, aren't I?
Yeah.
Just I sat there and I thought about it, and I said, like, it's not a lot of money. It's like $85, but it's more that I just really did not like how the other Ultimates looked. But I said,
that being said, I've heard nothing but good things about the 1200 Degrees Burning Godzilla that they just put out.
Yeah, I haven't seen enough of that to really have an opinion. I think the best looking one is the one that's from the Dark Horse Comics variant, the one that's like the repaint of the 89 one.
Yeah. I'm just going off what other people have said. Everyone who I've seen who has got it has been like, wow, this thing is awesome. The present, like Super 7, for all their faults, like their packaging and their presentation has always been top notch.
Yeah.
And they just like showed the box, it's enormous, but then they showed the figure and I'm just kind of like, damn, that is cool.
Yeah, I do. I have like the smoke that's coming off that figure looks really cool, or the steam or whatever. But it's like I think what I said like last episode kind of is what convinced me to get the -1 figure. Where I was like, well, when they announced the other Ultimates, like the Godzilla 89 and the Destroyer, I didn't really like how they looked, but they ended up looking exactly like their renders and prototypes. So
I hope this one looks like
if
the promo.
So if that holds, that like it actually, I gotta say, for everything else they've ever put out, they do look exactly like their renders and prototypes.
Yeah.
So if that holds here, and they did say like this figure is like they use the actual 3D CGI model that was used in -1 to make the figure. Like it is a scan of that.
Cool.
Like which like SH Monster House doesn't do, or didn't do for that figure. So I'm like, all right, like,
yeah, if they did that, they wouldn't be able to get those leg gaps in there.
Yeah. So, all those things. I said, you know what? Like, I just don't want to be like, I don't want to like, again, $85 is not a lot of money, but like, I hate feeling like a sucker if I buy something that comes out.
But there's also FOMO where it's
looks like
like it's clearly something that you want. So
yeah,
and it's an awesome Godzilla design. The promo picture looked really good.
Yeah, and the Bandai movie Monster Series figure, while good, is like
it's inexpensive.
It doesn't really convey like just really how good that design is.
Yeah,
and I really want one really good figure of that design. So, sure. But no, I'm just like, I don't care how much something is. If it's like $10, $20, $80, $200, whatever. Like I'm a big proponent of. With collecting, you you vote with your wallet. Use
Yep.
your wallet is your voice. And so like I always hate like if I give money to a crappy product, then you're just telling them that it's okay to keep doing crappy products.
Exactly.
So that's why like that's why like I don't just buy stuff like willy-nilly because I don't want to make it okay for someone to say, yeah, we can put out crappy products because people are just going to buy it. So
This makes you the Cardona. I mean, you always have been the Cardona of this podcast, but it makes me have to go like, I don't know. I have to start doing that.
Yeah, I've well, I don't call myself the Michael Jordan of Godzilla collecting, but I'll be the Larry Bird.
I'll be the Kevin McHale.
Or I'll be the Paul Pierce. I'm the truth. I'm the truth of figure collecting. And I'm trying to find the truth in my figure collecting, and that's
You
how
should be the Tatum so I can be the Tingus Pingus.
So many good Celtics references there. So I'm hoping that listen, I hope it's an incredible figure.
Yes,
it won't be out till next year though, so it can't even be part of the figure of the year conversation. Which I think I'll have to declare a figure of the year next episode.
Yeah.
So
I think I know which way I'm going.
yeah. I think I have decided in my head where I'm going as well. I'm going to save that for the next episode.
Mm.
Where you do have to watch Monarch because then we have 3 Monarch episodes to cover the next episode.
Yep. which is fine.
Yeah.
I'm hoping 6 rebounds. Hope the rumors are true, but we have seen like little bits of previews where Godzilla's fighting the Iron Dragon.
Yeah.
So like cool stuff is gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's just we gotta get there.
Yeah. Just we'll get. I'm confident we'll get the bad taste out of our mouths of episode 5.
Let us never speak of it again.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, anything you want to leave the listeners with on our way out of this town?
Ho ho ho.